Welcome to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gann, the podcast for people-centric leaders, business owners, and HR professionals who know that people are at the heart of business success. Join me and industry experts as we explore the key aspects of building a thriving company, sharing cutting-edge strategies, impactful insights, and the latest trends to help you ignite your business growth. It's time to rev up your leadership, rev up your success. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Rev Up Your Business. Today I have back Amy Au. She's the founder and executive coach of Innovate and most recently an international best-selling author. She's an ICF certified coach, a Fascinate certified advisor who radiates inspiring transformation. Her passion is to empower women leaders in STEM to be authentic and future-ready leaders. After working with Amy, her clients gain confidence to pursue what aligns with their values and purpose, strengthen their thought leadership voice, and become better at communicating their strategies and decision making. Today, Amy and I are going to have a conversation on unleash your unique leadership voice with confidence. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Hilda. I'm so excited to be back with you on your wrap up episode.
Thank you. I really want to focus and dive down into leadership and leadership confidence in women. So let's talk about what does leadership mean? And I think you and I are really focusing on people leadership, but what does that mean to you?
Absolutely. Like leadership is such a term that everybody says, well, do you start when you started getting your position as a leader, or as you have a title of a manager or a director, or even above that you can call yourself a leader? To me, leadership really start from the very get going when you started working. You have to start thinking about it, what it means to you. I think every step of the way, the leadership meanings evolve. So when I look back at my career, when I started thinking that, am I a leader? When I start questioning myself on that, is I need to look at the evidence of how I'm impacting the work that I'm doing and impacting the rest of the team, the rest of the organizations. Once I can see that, I'm actually creating that impact, not just with people, but also like for myself of my leadership on how I communicate my thoughts, how I share my view of how I wanted to bring new ideas to the table, that's where the leadership starts sprouting. And I think that evolves over time. And also, as you put into people leadership, is to start to think about what am I doing today that is going to help others to build their leadership. And that's what people leadership is, that means to me.
I love how you share that because as you're speaking, I'm thinking back to me as a leader and thinking, yeah, even when I graduated, I said, "Oh, yeah, someday I'll be a leader." And I think the journey starts back then to think, well, what kind of leader do I want to be? And have I had any role models? And the antithesis, have I had some people that I thought, oh God, I'll never be like that because that's not the kind of leader that I want to be. And so over the years, you kind of craft yourself, you develop yourself. And I know we've kind of used this in a session. We said, you've got the experience, you've got the skills to be a leader, but something's missing. And that missing piece is that connecting and leading people and your team. And this is what you and I are very passionate about, helping people become more effective. And as you said, it starts as a journey. Why do you think it is so
Absolutely.
many people lack confidence in being that leader?
You know what, like Hilda, when you said, like you started from the very beginning, so as right away, like an image kind of came up for me that in my very, very first job out of after I graduated, and the manager I had at the time was a woman, right? So back in those days, like wow, like I was able to see a woman to become like my manager, who was like in those authority, and I thought like that's wonderful, like to have a woman as my manager. But very quickly, I felt like I kind of started to ask myself, is that right? Like, is that how leader is about? Like, is that how a manager should be? Because what I sensed that in that experience was that she wasn't the one that was able to help me to grow, to help me build my confidence. She was one that was giving me a sense of like, you're not good enough. Like, you are not having those experience yet. Like, and so like, just be small and play your role, like, and just develop your technical skills. Well, I admit that at the time my technical skills was very raw, like it's still very basic. Right? I just started to learn. But I think that the sense of not having someone that actually can help you develop to grow is a key missing point. And I think that a lot of times that women are not having the opportunity to role model a great leader, that it really has hinders the confidence building. And that's one of the reasons why I find it is over the years, it's so needed that as a women leader, that we need to help more women to gain those confidence early on. And it can be a very minor thing that you might not even notice, but actually is the pieces that is needed to help a woman start building the confidence as they grow as a leader.
And I think that needs to happen. And I know that when my husband and I had our company iTrans, one of the things that I felt was important was to have mentorship, that everybody in the company should have a mentor. So within 4 months, we started to tell people, think about who you want to be a mentor. And at one point, I had 14 staff, many of them being women, because they said, Hilda, we need role models. We need women who understand, you're a mom, you're working, you're managing family. And I created the mentor program, and I made the mentor program where it's don't have somebody who's just a few years ahead of you. Have somebody who's further ahead to help guide you and support you. And the role of a mentor is guiding, supporting, and helping to grow. That's a different mindset, right?
I love that. Mentorship is so crucial with every steps of your career. And sometimes it's not about having a very formal mentorship relationship. It could be like a more of like someone that you admire. You see those great qualities of that person that's in your company that you want to model after, and start knowing the person just to build that relationship. And you can just learn from the side along. It's really a you can bring you a long way to go. Like of like learning it from observing, learning from talking to the person that has been in the field in the industry for a longer time, and also to understand that a mentor has a different path as well. They don't necessarily have the same experience as you do, but there are insights of like helping you to navigate through some of the challenges, and that it's going to help you build your character, build your leadership, and
Yeah, yeah.
that cannot be missed, right?
And I find good mentors almost enjoy doing it because they learn things from their mentees, um, as well as providing support, guidance, and growth for their mentors. I want to talk a little bit about people leadership skills for all leaders. And
Mhm.
we often hire people. Like, it's not our fault that we don't feel we're a good leader, we don't have role models, because let's face it, people have been in the past, and hopefully some of it's changing, and in some organizations it has changed. People hire because you've got the technical skills, you've got that expertise. Now that first manager said, "Hey, you need to get your expertise, you need to get your expertise." Fine, you have that expertise, you're managing the day-to-day operations of the actual project. But
Mhm.
most people didn't get how to learn in school, or in grade school, public school, university, high school. They did not learn how to develop the connection with people, the people leadership skills. And so
Mhm.
nowadays we find people who lack that experience. So it's not your fault that you don't know how because you haven't been given the opportunity. What's your thoughts
Mhm.
on that, Amy?
Absolutely. You know what, like when we're looking at hiring the new employees coming to the company, a lot of times that what, as you said, like looking at, okay, do I have the person that already have skills that can bring to the table right away so then we can have them, hit the ground running, so to speak, right? And that is important. But I think the one piece of traits that we really want to look for is a person that are willing to learn, someone that who can learn and as enjoying learning is a crucial skill set. And this is not something that you would look for at the very beginning, as in it's not on the resume, like, or it might not be on the job description and say, oh, did you want it to learn? Right? But this is so important, as well as the piece that understanding other people. So the listening skills. So I love the way that when we go into interviews and when we interview others, that we provide them opportunity to showcase how they listen, how well they listen to others, right? With that skill set, it can bring you a long way. And this is a crucial piece, like for a leader, a good leader to have, because you're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to have to build a lot of relationships with people that have very different characters, different personalities, different ways of communications. And if you don't have that listening skills, it's you're going to miss a lot, right? You're going to have a lot of trouble building that relationship. So I think that those two is definitely a key traits of a good leader.
I
So
love that focus on listening because in order to develop a relationship, it's a two-way thing. And so some leaders think they have to have all the answers and give things, but no, it should be a dialogue. It should be helping others grow and be nurtured and stuff. I want to talk a little bit more about our journeys and why we're so passionate about helping women be better leaders to get those promotions, not just be a better leader, get to a point where you get noticed and you get promoted to be a leader. Why don't you start, Amy?
yeah, absolutely. So I had 25 years of my career life in corporate world and 23 years with one global Fortune 500 companies. And through those years that I've been very fortunate to have met a lot of great leaders, great mentors that have like subtly helped and shaped who I become today. And that experience really taught me a lot of like you don't just focus on building yourself, but also you help others to grow. And I think that looking back in after perhaps like 10 years of working in a company, that I started to realize that if I wanted to do more, I need to become someone that can influence and be in the leadership role so that I can help others to grow. And that really sparked and started my career becoming not just focusing on delivering a project or delivering a technical solution for the company, but also looking at how I can impact the people around me. And so to become a manager and then a leader is something that I aspire to be. Through that journey, I learned that, you know what, I can do this. I can start building that confidence to become a leader. However, that took quite a bit while to do. And that's the experience of being a woman leader in a company that is already giving opportunities, but is still very challenging being in the technology space in that tech sector. I still had struggled a lot to build up my confidence, to build up my voice, to get myself heard, and continue to keep proving myself that I could be a good leader. Through that experience, I really wanted to now use my new career that I started 2 years ago, becoming a coach, a leadership coach, an executive coach to help women leaders to get to where they belong, to be the ones that can influence and build better things and better future for other women that they can have a path to succeed.
Thanks. And for me, it was I started my career in the healthcare sector. So in some ways the light dawned on me that I'm in a sector where there are other women's. And so maybe that was better than being in a male dominated organ industry like yourself, and then I ended up in engineering so, because my husband started his company, so I got that opportunity to be in a male dominated organization, but to really recognize the value of women and then to nurture and help them gain their expertise. And I learned very early the value of developing relationships with your direct report and mentors. And I remember at one point I was manager in intensive care at Mount Sinai, and during my evaluation, my 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 director was really astute in helping people grow. So she wasn't just about here's what you don't do well, what you need to develop. And that's the way people should be evaluated nowadays. And that's what I do when I help companies with their evaluation tools, is think about the future and help people grow. And she said to me, if you ask me whether you're ready to be a director, I'd say yes. And I thought, I wasn't asking you that, but really? But I wouldn't have thought that. Like, I'd only been a manager for about 3 years at that point. So I didn't even think that. But thanks to her, I started to think. And then an opportunity came along and I applied for it, and I actually got the role, right? So we need to foster and support each other and help. And if I can just mention, the concept that I came up with after we sold our business was Rev Up. And if I can just share with people, those of you who are subscribers know, but Rev Up stands for 5 principles that give you a mental mind shift of how to make yourself feel more confident in who you are and make others feel more confident in who they are. So it's treat people with respect, look at them as equals, value who they are. And then the 2 pieces is look at the uniqueness of individuals, yourself and others, and harness that potential. Because when you do, you're going to have more confidence. They're going to have more confidence.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that, Hilda. The first time when I heard you talk about the breath up, it resonated so deeply with me because the very first letter, respect, that's my number one core value, right? There's no doubt like that. I totally agree. Like you have
Yeah,
to respect
yeah,
regardless of what position you're at in the company, but especially when you're a leader. And when you talk about the uniqueness, it's so true that a lot of times that we forgot about our identity in a corporate settings, that we felt like it's just all a we like doing the work that as a team is great, that we collaborating well with the team. But then we forgot that each of us bring a very different perspective, a unique ways of ideas that gets formed because of our background as being different. Now, in the last 10 years that we've talked a lot about having the workforce as diverse and inclusive. But a lot of times, unfortunately, that I have seen was, yes, there were a lot of talk, but how we practically doing that? How do we build the culture to help people to really shine through with
yeah,
their
yeah.
uniqueness? And I think both of us, that we have found a way that we can use a tool to help others to do it. Are we going to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, we want to talk about that. Amy and I have been friends for what,
Right.
14 years.
15 years. Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
15 years. And because she remembers, we started off in ballet and we've developed this respect for each other. When she was still in the corporate world and I was growing in my business and then starting my own company, she's heard that journey. And then she's starting her journey as in her company. So we've been supporting each other. But we realize now we want to help women build their confidence. So she wants to tell you about a tool that we just love and think that this is really the piece that will help you find your uniqueness. Go ahead, Amy.
Yes. Yes. It's called the Fascinate. So Fascinate is an assessment tool that show you how the world sees you. So how you're unique and different. And so it's not just about, oh, how you show up or how you communicate. It's really helping you to understand what you already have that is innate in you, that you just have to lean in more of to communicate, to lead, that other people find you fascinating. And so you just have to use less effort, but a much better result that you can see.
And when you discover what your unique innate abilities are, you show confidence because you're natural, and your abilities shine. And when you do that, you create that know, like, and trust. You create relationships so quickly. Do you want to share a little bit about your fascination, the how you fascinate, and then I'll share how I fascinate the world?
For sure, yes. So Fascinate has a system that has seven languages, right? And that we call the seven advantages. So my first two are passion and innovation. So the two combined give me an archetype called the catalyst. So if you think of the word a catalyst, right, it's going to be some elements that make things happen, that make things sparks. And initially I thought, wow, that is amazing. Like this is like to describe myself as the catalyst. But do you think a little bit deeper? My first language is passion. It's about relationship. It's how I enjoy connecting with people, to understand people, what they enjoy, what they like, how they like to be treated, how they want it to be is respected, and how we can communicate more effectively together to build that relationship. And it is totally me. I didn't realize, I didn't know have the words to describe it before. I just knew that, you know what, I enjoy working with people. I enjoy helping others to succeed. But now I have that language to share with others. That's because I have the passion language in me that is just natural. And innovation, it's just easy to understand because my last career that I have been doing a lot of work in innovation, particularly as a technology innovation, but also of ideas innovation using human centric design. And that innovation piece is in me. I always like to look at ways that how we can improve things and get better and enjoy seeing the new things coming through, whether it's with technology or like with people, that I just find it fascinating. And with those two combined, I can help others to realize how they can be different and contributing to the world. So those two, like, really is my language. So I really lean into it. And what
And then
about you,
the
Hilda?
name of your company,
Ah,
Innovate You.
exactly. You know what? It's funny. Like when I was starting my business in 23, right? When I was thinking about a name, it came to me quite easily because innovation is something that I know I need to convey that to people. So, what do I need to do to convey the message that we always have to continue to build and improve ourselves to get ourselves better? And what better than the word of innovate you, because it all starts from and stems from you within. And when you can start developing yourself to become better, and we always can be a better version of ourselves. And that's the very root of what I do as a coach. That is just perfect for me. It sounded perfect.
And what I found was that when you gave that name, I don't think you knew your how to fascinate assessment at that point, right? You didn't know, you
Oh,
knew, but you didn't
I
get that
knew, but I
validated.
didn't. Yes, you're right. I don't think I had that yet at the point. Like it's just almost I had decided the name. And then I found out and said, wow, like what fitting of a name it is, right?
So what you discovered and validated that term, that idea of always trying to help and think of something new and innovative, was a validation of, yes, this is who I am. This is my company, by the way.
Yeah.
So in the language of Fascinate, I have two languages. My language is Prestige, is my first, and Prestige is continuously improving, looking always to increase the quality, the standard, whether it's in myself or others. So that's certainly been what I've been doing all of my life. And my secondary is power. That's the language of decisiveness. And the two combined give me a term called the victor. But unlike you, I didn't really like the victor, because to me, the victor is like, I'm out to win at all costs. I'm out the front and it's going to be me. Victory, victory, victory. And then when I was getting my certification in how to fascinate, my the person said, no, Hilda, the victor's really good. The victor creates win-win solutions. And I go, oh, that is me. Since I was 30 years old, I've always looked at various solutions and try to create something where everybody wins. So now I embrace the victor. And the final aspect is, we when we do fascinate, it is science-based. It is a objective tool, and it only takes 5 or 10 minutes to complete the questions to get the 16-page information. There's a tertiary that you and I like to share, and the tertiary is why you do things. So what I do is I help with continuous improvement. How I do it is through creating solutions and making decisions. But why I do it is passion, because I care about people. So, Amy, share why you do what you do.
Absolutely. So my tertiary is power. So power is about the confidence, right? And it's about how I wanted to create the positive impact for a better future and through my work as coach. And so this is the reason why we think that both you and I, Hilda, that it's so important that what we have to continue to build and help people to understand what their uniqueness are, what is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
value that they bring to the table. And this tool can definitely help.
I think what we want to do is share what we're doing and how we can help. And I created my company's name, People Bright, because I like people and I wanted to help people move towards the light, the best version of yourself, the best version of your company. So there's a lot of thought put into what we've created, our business names, learning about our understanding of how we fascinate people. And um, let's share some of the things that we really have decided to do in our own businesses and together to help
Mm.
women become more confident in their leadership abilities.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so one thing that in common that Hilda and I are, we volunteer to be a I'm Remarkable facilitator. It's a workshop that I host like regularly to anybody that see that I have a workshop coming up every month to help people understand how they need to self promote, to let people know what they have achieved and share it proudly and loudly, because that truly is one of the things that we don't necessarily do enough, especially for women. And a lot of times that I saw that in women in STEM as well. The women that are in this field is really brilliant. They do very good work, but often that they minimize their impact, they minimize the voice because they thought that one they might not need to do that. Two, they thought that if they
Yeah,
do, people will look at them odd, right? And then saying that why are you bragging? But the truth is you're not. You're just stating the fact. So that's one thing we do. And then with the others is that we coming up with a workshop, right, Hilda?
yep.
That we are bringing in through the Toronto Tech Week. And so we are so excited to have this workshop to help women STEM leaders to understand how they can be different, unique, and build up their confidence and build up their leadership confidence so they can thrive. So it's called
It's called Unleash Your Unique Leadership Voice with Confidence, which we used as our title for today's session. And it's going to be during Toronto Tech Week. And we're going to be hosting it at the Village Hive on June 24th from 1:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. And we're hoping that people will sign up for this to help really uncover and discover who they are.
absolutely. Yeah, we can't wait for that and meet all of you who wants to be better and knowing yourself, that seeing your potential and actually be able to have practical tips that you can right away put into action.
Amy are going to continue to work together and individually to really help women leaders become more confident. Think of it as flexing your muscle. If you want to become more capable and do things naturally, you have to keep practicing to do that. What did they say? 10,000 hours to become, an athlete or competent in things. So think about learning confidence, people skills, connecting with others as things that you need to know, but also reminding you that you don't have to do it the way somebody else does it. You find your unique self and you become that confident leader by embracing who you are naturally. And that's what the power of how to fascinate, rev up, innovate you really helps you to do. So connect with us. Connect with us, and we invite you to have a conversation with Amy or I. Tell them how people can get a hold of you, Amy.
Yeah, absolutely. You can connect me with on my LinkedIn profile or use my email, amy@innovateyou.ca, and you can find me very easily on there.
And for me, again, you can look me up on LinkedIn, Hilda Gann, and you can connect with me at Hilda Gann at peoplebrightconsulting.com. I've enjoyed our conversation, Amy, because we're both so passionate about helping women leaders.
Thank you so much, Hilda, for this opportunity. And I'm looking forward to talking to any of you that are curious and wanted to join us on the 24th.
Yes, we're hoping to find many of you coming and being part of our live event in person so that you can gain confidence in who you are. Thank you again, Amy, and thank you to my listeners, my subscribers. Give it a thumbs up. This is a conversation that Amy and I plan to continue to have on a regular basis because we really want to help women really become confident leaders and give you more tips and strategies as we continue to have conversations from time to time on Rev Up Your Business. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gann. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify to stay up to date with all of our latest episodes. For more HR tips, strategies, and to learn how you can create a people-centric workplace, visit our website at peoplebrightconsulting.com.